Hi folks, how are you? So I'm back, and today what we'll be doing is we'll be designing the database of our expense tracking application. We'll be creating the models for the same, and then we'll be probably using a low code way. I'll be introducing you a new tool, a low code tool for creating Blazor application from the database. So we here we will be using the database first approach, not the code first approach, just for fun and just for easiness, of course. So let me change the screen and let's go to my Windows laptop. Okay, so I already have created this old database, but this is very much verbose. So what I'm doing now is I'm creating a new database with all the like the tables will be same, and while designing the database itself, I'll be explaining what all the fields are and what's the need of these fields. Okay, so let's start with new database. And yes, friends, one more thing, it won't be a MS SQL database, it would be MySQL database on which we'll be deploying on production, because on production MS SQL like it's costly. So that's why maybe later on when our application is ready, we can create one, since we will be using a ORM tool and we will be using ORM tool and connection. So maybe we can later on change it to MS SQL if needed. But primarily it will be MySQL database. I'll follow all the steps. I'll tell you all the steps how to do it. I'll show you, rather than telling you, I'll show you all the steps on how to move this data from MySQL and sorry, MS SQL Server to MySQL database. This is the process which I follow. I know it's a bit lengthy, but I think it's much more faster for me to follow this process. If you don't like it, no problem, you can come up with your own solution. Okay, so let's name this database as Expenser. Yeah, I hope the spelling is fine. Okay, it's Expenser. Yeah, so we have created the database. Here it is, Expenser. Okay, now, okay, so the easiest way for me to create a database is via this database diagram in SQL Server. Okay, so what do we do? Right now I'm using the SQL Server Developer Edition, not the Developer Edition, rather Community Edition, or the free version of it, SQL Server Express, which some people say it. Okay, so first what we'll create a new table. We'll name it as app user. The purpose here of this app user is to like maintain all the user database. We won't be using the identity server and all those things. We won't be going into those all complex detail. This is the simplest way. Of course, if you want, we can do all those things later on, but for now I'm using the fast and simple way. Of course, we are creating right now, like we will be storing the username and password and all those things, but we'll be doing all the due diligence, like we'll be storing the hash password and all those things. Okay, so what we'll do now, let's do one thing. Let's copy it from here, standard view. So this is Control C, and I do here Control V. So I'll rename these fields. So this will be, instead of user ID, it will be, sorry, app user ID. Okay, first name, rather than instead of first name and last name, or let's keep it first name, but who has to search it? Anyway, we may have to contact it later, so we'll do it like last name. Okay, and then this will again be in varchar, and this will of course be the primary key, so we'll make this as is identity yes, and we'll make this also as a primary key, where it is, yeah, okay. So this is our primary key. So first name, last name, email id, login password, mobile number, date of birth. Why do we need date of birth in an expense tracking application? Ah, we don't need it. Delete column. Okay, verification code. This is to verify the. We don't need this also. Delete. Role. So this is my simplest way to implement role based like features in the application, is like I just create a role and I'll create a enum, or I'll create constant values. uh, it is primarily, it is like super user, admin, or super admin and regular registered user. That's all. Those three roles. Even it would be admin and regular registered user, not much. So that's that. Okay, so we have created these fields are there, these are done. Allow null, so we have allowed null in last name, that's fine, yes. Email id is not null. Login password, okay. Let's follow the proper naming convention. So instead of this small l, we'll use it as login password, okay. And let's make it as nvarchar 200, because it will be an encrypted string, okay. So we have created our user database. Now let's reduce it to column name. Next is our, okay, column name. So this is regular transaction. So regular transaction are the transaction which will be happening, okay. So I think instead of regular transaction, okay, so if you see the field name, so this is transaction id, transaction name, transaction description, amount, transaction type, occurrence, day of the month, user id, okay. And then this is your transaction, this is account detail. So this is your, okay, okay. So I have created this database way back 3-4 years back. I start the side projects and then leave it as it is. So this time I'll be following this through and complete it. So so instead of regular transaction, see, the regular transaction, the purpose of this occurrence and day of the month was that it should be like, it should be recurring transaction, like something like when we have to pay EMI, or when we are getting in regular salary as an income. So all those things will be calling it as regular transaction, okay. And or recurring transaction, okay. And then account transaction is like your transaction name, description, transaction type, amount, transaction date, and account id. So this is like, again, this account detail is basically the types of accounts you have. So when you have one thing, you already have all the accounts, like you have bank accounts, you have credit cards. So all those things will come into your account detail, okay. And then account transaction is your, like, whatever account transaction you are doing, so whatever transaction you are doing on this thing, okay. So what we'll do, the thing which is missing here was of course expense category, and uh, like regular expenses. So the idea was of this regular transaction and this account transaction was that this account transaction should like happen from directly from the account. So auto debit or something, you can put the account number there and all those things. And this regular transaction was again that every month you should get kind of a reminder that okay, oh, you have one EMI pending of this month, or you have to do this thing. So when you are doing your budgeting, when you have created your monthly budget, then you can see that okay, your account has like these many EMIs and these many things pending. Okay, so that was the purpose. But what we'll do now is we'll first of all, rather than recurring so it's a regular, instead of a regular transaction, we'll name it as REC. Okay, so recurring transaction, and I'm keeping it, I hope this is not that big. Fine, no problem. Okay, so we'll copy these same fields. Let's keep it as standard. Okay, we'll select this like this. Okay, so here it is. This is your, okay, this app user ID should also be this one. ID should be small. Okay, recurring, this will be like recurring trans ID. So recurring trans ID, transaction name perfect, description perfect, amount perfect, transaction type, so transaction type would be like either income or expense, that is all. And occurrence, okay, occurrence would be like how, whether it will be monthly, yearly, bi-monthly, annually, like, yeah, so occurrence will be like that. And then day of the month, or yeah, day of the month, like if the occurrence is monthly, so which day of the month it will happen. And then of course user ID, or this will be like app user ID because it is being done from the app. Okay, so this is that, and we'll make again this as identity, and we'll make this as primary key. Okay, so our recurring transaction is ready. So now we'll create, rather than AC details, which is account details, we'll simply create accounts. Okay, so the idea is to keep it simple. So we'll create a new table which will be accounts. Okay, so this accounts is basically the type of accounts we have. So I think this table has perfect all the information. Okay, so what we'll do is, yeah, sorry, what I'm doing, copy and paste. Okay, so this will be like, yeah, accounts, fine. So this will be like accounts ID, this will be like account name, and yes, this won't be, the table won't be called as accounts, it would be called as account, or let it be accounts. Yeah, table is the collection, so recurring transaction. So if it is recurring transaction, no, this should be account. So where it is rename table, where is the rename option? Property, yeah, here, I'll change it account. Okay, so we have account ID, account name, account number. I have kept it as 50 digit and I have kept it as allow null. So if somebody wants to keep it as like account number, if they want to share, if they don't want to share, that's fine with it. Account type, whether it is a credit card, whether it is recurring account, whatever it is, start date, opening balance we have, whatever the account has, and of course the user ID. So we'll again change this as app user ID. Okay, so this is our account table ready. Okay, and then we'll create one more table for category. So category. I hope the spelling is right. Okay, so this will be like category ID, which will be big int, and then category name, let's keep it as nvarchar. Name should be 250 character long, not more than that. Category name, category description. Okay, okay, TION. This will be again nvarchar. Basically nvarchar, why I am using is like it will allow multiple languages also. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my assumption or my understanding is that nvarchar allows you to enter Unicode characters also, so you can save in your particular language, whatever language you want. So, and I think, yeah, okay, so that's that. We have a category, so this category would be for a type of expense categories, what all expense categories we can have. Regular one, so let's change it to column names, and then let's create a new table. This would be transactions, so this would be like transaction. Okay, so this would be transaction ID. Okay, and will be like, okay, transaction ID, which will be again big int. Sorry, I forgot that. And even here also, table view standard, I missed to make a couple of changes here. This would be primary key, this would be not null, and this would be of course auto incremented. Okay, like this. And I think it should be beautiful if we give some icon or something to category, so that way we'll be able to. And yes, of course we have an option for subcategory also, because we have like different type of expenses when you do the expenses. So let's keep it as parent ID, which will be again big int. Okay, like this. Okay, so parent ID would be a big int, and then yeah, this is nullable because some can be parent and some can be this. And then we'll have what should I use this, whether should I use icon file? Then in that case we'll have to maintain file saving images and all those things we'll have to maintain, right? Okay, no problem, we'll do that. We'll see how we'll implement image uploading in Blazor. So icon path. Okay, this will be, let's keep it as varchar, and let's keep it as, how long would be the path? It will be in the same folder, so not more than 150. Okay, so icon is not mandatory, so we'll make it as non-nullable. That's fine. Now, okay, column names. Okay, so our transaction is now ready. So in this thing, transaction name and transaction description would be same. So let's copy this thing. Transaction name, transaction description, amount, of course, transaction type. It won't be occurrence, so command C, command V. So we have transaction. Let's use this whole thing, and here also. No, let's leave it. Okay, amount, transaction type. Okay, we have trans type, and then of course app user ID, control C, control view, and of course category ID, because we have, it will be the category. Okay, and this will be again big int. Okay, and of course this would be not nullable. This is something very tricky. The thing is, like, sometimes we just create our own category on runtime, so instead of giving a drop down, we'll have to give a text box with a drop down. So we will look into that when we are doing creating the actual screens. Okay, or I would say modifying the actual screen, because we'll be creating these, all screen will be auto generated by our low code tool. I'm sorry. Yeah. So this, should we give an icon for account also? Why not? Like, if I have a credit card with, which is a Visa card or MX card, I can use MX or Visa icons. Why not? So standard. Okay. So let's copy this. Let's paste this here. Okay. So this will be this, and then we'll also have here, but instead of icon, we'll name it as receipt path. Okay, so this will be basically whenever we are doing some receipt, in future we might plan to create, as we have a plan to create this as a mobile app also, so we have to save the images. Like, we can, whenever we do a purchase, we can take the picture of that and we can upload that picture, so we can do those things. Okay, so that's that. So what else is missing? Of course, account ID. Yeah, account ID, because even cash is also an account. Okay, so of course this would be big int, and this would be not nullable, and we'll move this up so that all the, oh, what's happening? Well, okay, that's fine. Let's, okay, so we have receipt path, so we have almost everything ready for this transaction. Okay, I'm not creating any relationships. I usually don't create that, because I don't follow, I follow those things via code. Okay, so So this thing is already transactions. So transactions are ready, category are ready, account is ready, recurring transaction, that is fine, app user ready. Okay, yeah, for app user we need one thing, which is profile pic. So let's copy this and paste here. Yeah, it will be profile profile pic path. Okay. So we have the profile pic now. Okay, so okay, so what's missing? So when we do the transaction, this will be this regular recurring transaction. See, the purpose of recurring transaction is for reminders and probably for budgeting purpose, to see that okay, this would be like, if I want to see in advance that okay, how much I have already I have to pay in EMIs and all those things. So probably we can, that's why we'll keep the recurring purpose. Accounts, we know the purpose, we have the things, and then category, and then transaction. Okay, so we have almost everything now. Okay, I think, are we missing anything? Okay, if we are missing anything, probably we'll create it later, or we'll see how we can update that thing. Okay, so now we have created the database expenser. Okay, so we have saved this diagram and we have saved these things. So all the tables are saved now. Okay, so now time to introduce you to the new low code tool to generate the UI. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, yeah, you will be listening to these kind of sounds. Okay, where it is? Hmm? Yeah, here. So this is Radzen. This is the, I would say, the fastest way to create or design this UI, your Blazor UI. So Radzen is a like low code tool to generate. And let me clarify one thing, I am no way affiliated to Radzen. I just came to know about this awesome tool to create Blazor UI from like from the database, from a blog, of course. And I'm using this tool to create the Blazor UIs, and it is really awesome. Okay, so my trial license has expired, so what I'll do is I'll use the community version. Okay, so their community version is free. Of course it has some limitations, but that's fine. And this, the thing is, continue using community version. Okay, so the thing is that now what it's saying, I can't add new, I can't add import. You can have only one application in Radzen community. You can have only one application in Radzen community edition. Okay, so this is a limitation. Let me remove this application. Okay, let me remove this application. Okay, and okay, now I can create one application. So this is like the Angular one is much more matured. The Blazor server one basically works only with your SQL server, like SQL server database. The code generated for SQL server database is good, that's why I created it in SQL server. I'll be using too many tools here. So for creating models, I'll be using my own tool. I have created one Poco SQL generator which will create the models, as well as it will also write the script, your insert, update, delete script, and even some select script. Of course, we'll be updating those scripts later on whenever we need. And this Radzen tool basically uses the Radzen like controls. Okay, these are the RAD controls. These are free controls, free to use, even I think free for commercial use also, as per the blog, and I think as per the documentation you can commercially use these controls for free. But of course, for paid support, you will the support is paid, in simple words. Okay, so and it's good, the tools are really good, so I really like them. So they have theme and everything. Okay, maybe if I'll share this video to Radzen guys. If they like it, maybe they give me a license, or community license might be, for sharing you guys the video and all those things. So okay, let's name it as Expenser. Okay, and I'll create it in my data. Okay, because in my code already have this Expenser folder. Okay, so let's create this thing. Let's hope it create. Okay, yeah. Oops, what's happening? I think it's trial edition, so that's why I'm not sure why it's like this. Okay, what's happening? Okay, let's go to new data source. Okay, I think I was going to show this demo. Probably now, of course, I'll share this video with Radzen guys so they can identify what was the issue. Let me close this and open it again. Radzen. I'll add it to start menu, pin to start, so that I can open it again and again. I hope I don't have to do it, but anyways, yeah, Expenser. So it's open. Okay, congratulations. Let's close this thing. Okay, so the best part here is we can create here data sources, and if I click on this, it has this plethora of options: MySQL, MS SQL Server, Postgres, OData, REST. But what I have faced till now, and this is like an honest opinion, because I have tried only two options, that is MySQL, sorry, MS SQL Server and MySQL, and I was not able to run a Blazor application connected to MySQL. It was able to generate the application, but it was not able to run the application. But the SQL Server one, of course, runs perfectly. So that's why I'm creating this SQL Server one, but we'll be moving the UI from this project for sure. We won't be using the complete code of this thing. Okay, so let's name it as yeah, sorry, Expenser connection. Server would be, oops, sorry, it won't be like this. Server would be, yes, this one. So this is my local server. I'll copy this thing. So this a blog will be is on the way, basically, on how to use Radzen, and introducing the Radzen, the fastest way to create Blazor UI, or the low code way to create Blazor UI. It's low code because of course you have to write some code in order to use this thing, but it's not completely like nowadays low code and no code are like going on. So yeah, so the database which we have to use is, sorry, the database which we have to use is Expenser. So it would be like Expenser. Okay, and we will be using Windows authentication. Okay, so in case of Windows authentication, nothing is needed. So infer schema. So infer schema will basically read the schema and give you the options. I hope Oops, that's bad. What I wanted, this feature is not available now. This is sad. Okay, so if you have like, if you are using the trial version or the professional version, you'll get this option of generating CRUD, like pages for CRUD operations. And believe me, those pages are good. Like, by good, I mean really good. They have all the controls. So these Radzen controls are really awesome controls. But the problem is that, of course, the community version doesn't give you this option. You can use the trial version. So I think uh, I'll have to create a new trial version probably, or I'll request Radzen to give me community for trying. So sorry folks, I think we won't be able to generate the UI using Radzen, at least in this video. So in the meantime, what I can do is let me generate the classes and SQL using my tool, which is of course free and open source. It is available. If you want to see, let me show you the URL of that. So if you go on my GitHub, that is github.com/techirathor. So Techie Rathor is like my social media handle everywhere. So Instagram, Twitter, whatever, follow me everywhere. Even hopefully if I start the YouTube channel, it will be there also. Okay, so if you go on my GitHub account, on the home page you will see this Poco SQL generator. So this Poco SQL generator is the one which will generate all the scripts and everything. The ORM which I use for my application is Dapper. Okay, I like Dapper because it's fast, it's micro. Even I think Entity Framework Core is also now, it also comes into the category of micro ORM. It's pretty small and all. But I have a habit of using Dapper since ASP.NET days, so I'm using Dapper for that. So I'll be using Dapper for this one also. And this Poco SQL generator basically uses Dapper for not uses Dapper, rather it create classes and everything from SQL Server. So that was another reason for creating the database in SQL Server. And again, uh, MySQL, I don't like, I only use MySQL for production environments, and of course for development environments after like while doing the development, not when I am like designing the database, because I'm not very well versed with that. So what I'll do is like, so this is my tool. You can get the code, I showed you the code. So let's go here. I think I have, yeah, portable apps, DTO generator, yeah, like I have named it different names, Poco SQL generator, DTO generator, or whatever. So if you see this, data access layer generator is the name, or Poco SQL generator, if you use that code, I think this is the same code. So what you have to do is like, you will give, like it does from MS Access or SQL Server. Mostly I use SQL Server. And I'll check this option, create multiple files for store procedures and queries, because that way it gives me much more clarity. And then what I'll do is like, I'll create the database. I'll select the database here. So when I select the database, I have all these tables. So these are like transaction table, category table, and then account table. I hope this transaction doesn't mess up with the transaction keyword. Will it? Let's see. Should I change it? Let's let's not take risk. Okay, so let's rename this transaction as, yeah, see this, they have put it in square braces. So let's name it as X, sorry, yeah, cross transaction. That's it. Control S. So this is saved. Yes. Okay. So now they won't put it in. Yeah. See, so that might have been a problem. Okay, so we okay sorry, uh, here is my tool. So I'll open this one again. MS SQL Server database would be expenser. So we have X transaction, category, account, recurring transaction, app user. Okay, so and namespace now. So this generate SQL will generate, of course, the SQL files, uh, all the DML and DDL files. DML is your data manipulation language and DDL is your data definition language. So and generate classes will generate the classes. Of course, these classes, again, this is kind of a low code solution, because these classes are not like the POCO classes you can use directly, of course, but the other classes are not ready to use, so you might have to do some changes. So I'll choose this option, generate both. So here it has generated both the things. So if we close this thing, so we have expenser. So this is your CS project. So this CS project, this is your POCO classes. Okay, and this repo is basically your Dapper classes. Okay, so when you have to do the interaction with Dapper, so this is basically your data access classes or the entity classes or the Dapper classes which you use. Okay, so these are that. Okay, so and if you go into SQL, so okay, oh shit, I forgot. I'm sorry, I forgot to choose that option. Okay, no problem. This is the benefit of tools. We can do it once more. So yeah, I forgot this thing. So now I'll choose this again. Expenser. Oops. Oops. I haven't chosen anything. No problem. It might have just created the blank. Okay. Okay. So now if you see here, we have, okay, no, not this one, expenser. So if we click on SQL, see, we have account, delete, insert, select all, update, validate, delete. And another thing is, like, if we create relationships, like if we go into the database and create relationships, then in that scenario it will also give you the select queries based on foreign keys, that okay, you need like in this scenario, in X transaction it would have given an option to select extra on the basis of category ID, on the basis of account ID. Of course, that's good query, but anyways, I would prefer, like, I would go with writing my own way. That way will also, like, do some because we have to do some manipulation when we have to show the data. Okay, so that's why will not be doing, like, will not be creating the relations. As I said, we'll be manipulating the relations here. Okay, so I think that's all for today. So today we created the database, we created the POCO SQL classes, sorry, yeah, POCO classes and the SQL classes. And unfortunately, I, like, my Radzend trial has expired. So probably I'll take another trial. Uh, I'll install another trial, and then I'll see if I can generate. I'll show you how to generate this thing. I'll contact Radzend guys, and if it is not possible, then no problem. We will design the things with plain Blazor controls. That's not a big deal. Hopefully, it will take some more time, but I think we'll be able to do it. So tomorrow will be like, I'm just waiting, like, I'm closing this thing. So I think let's not meet tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll talk about something else If I come online, we'll talk about something else. But on Friday, that is day after tomorrow, which would be like 20th, yeah, 20th of March. Uh, on that day, we'll move ahead with this application. If I come online tomorrow, which I doubt, I have some other things. So if I come online tomorrow, I'll post a tweet, then we will talk about something else. Otherwise, let's meet on Friday, the 20th of March, and we'll take this application forward. We'll create the UI, or we'll integrate these things in the UI of the application, and then I'll check in the code. And of course, on that day, I'll do one more thing. I'll write the requirements. I know I have started this all haphazardly, but I'll write the requirements in the README file, that what all application, like what all features this application will have, and uh, probably add some more diagrams also related to the architecture and database and all those things. We of course have this database diagram. What I'll do, I'll add relations to it. Okay, so I'll add relations to it, and I'll like paste this database diagram. So this will be our database diagram. Will put some architectural documents also, so that like this would be our full-fledged open source application, enterprise grade application, what we said. And we'll check in this code, this, and I'll try to finish it off before April, first week of April, so that we can use, like, next financial year we will use our own software for maintaining our expenses. Okay. Take care. If you have any suggestions, if you have any feedback, please write it down in the suggestions box given the Twitch channel. See you. Bye bye. Okay, let me close this thing.